We have created the data structure for the table to store data. We've also done the sports kit and the sales table as well. With the data types correct, we've got validation rules, length checks, list checks, range checks, and also input masks for the format check. We can now create a nice user-friendly interface in order to enter data in. If you want to look to see what it looks like, then go to the end of this video and you'll be able to see the finished form. But we'll have a look at just creating one now today. So I'm going to close the design view because it doesn't like us having the design view open while we're trying to do some work, because it'll lock it and stop us doing a few things, as you saw when you did the relationships. So I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to create form. Now if I click customers and I click form, it's just going to create an auto form for me, which is fine if I just want a quick solution, I just want to edit that. But really speaking, it's not what I want, given that we're going to do programming soon as well, and we're going to create and design forms. So I'm just going to go to form design, and here we are. So we've now got form design, and I'm now going to add some fields to this. So I'm going to go to add existing fields. Now we haven't linked a table to this as yet. So I'm going to go to properties first of all. Look what it lists, a load of properties here, such as border style. It also would be background color in one of these at some point. And then there's a load of operations such as what happens when it's clicked and so on. But I'm going to click the record source is going to be the customers table. Look, it says here, you'll have another few tables there, the sales and sports kit table, but it's customers. I can now close the property sheet, so I don't need that just for now. So, and go to add existing fields, and there we are, the fields appear. So I'm going to drag those into the form. But I'm looking at my form, I think, oh, let's have it a little wider. There's customer number, that's fine, I'll put that into that position there. Move the boxes, I'm going to put title here, so I'm going to have the customer details here, forename, and just drag them into position. And I've put all 9 fields in there now. Now I can then get rid of the field list just by closing that. But if you want to see them again, then put them back up again in the same way as if you want to see the properties again, then bring that up. But I got the fields on here. Now if I go and have a look at my form view, there's my form view, and drop down boxes work as intended, tick box works and so on. And it's put customer 1, so I'll just enter Mrs. Angie. So Angie's record has been entered, and there we are, that's fine. So isn't it a nice looking form? And if I close the form, we best save it first, but if I do accidentally close it, it will ask me to save the form. Yes, I do. Don't call it form 1. I'm going to call it form. Form customers. I've purposely spelled form incorrectly, because if I have this now, let's go to, on the left hand side, to all my objects. There it is. I'm just going to rename that so that I've spelled form correctly. So form customers is there. Now form customers, you saw I entered Angie into that one, but if we go to the customers table, this shows the relationship between the table and the form, is it goes directly into the table. So the form is only acting as an interface between me, the user, and the table. So that's, I'm controlling that interaction via the form. So I want to make this a little bit nicer, a little bit more pleasurable experience for the user. And this probably depends on your business or corporate color scheme and so on. But if I click on the background here, I'm going to go to properties, and I'm just going to choose background color. So it just chooses standard Windows backgrounds, but I'm going to use dark color like that. There we are. Right, with these labels, I want to change these labels to a different color because they can't be seen so well. So when you click on that, so if I change this time, I'm going to change the for color or the font color to, well, I'll choose that. That's quite a nice bright color. I think, oh God, I don't want to be doing this all the time. So let's use the format menu, and that's quite easy. Oh, it's a bit easier to use this one. So I'll do that, and I'm going to embolden it. I'm going to do that with the next one and embolden it. That's taken me far too long, so I'm going to now use the control key on the keyboard. Click that, click that, click that, click that, click that, and click that, and do all the settings for those. Or just simply, if you're quite happy with how surname looks, I'm going to use the Format Painter, which is this tool here. Format Painter onto there, Format Painter onto there, Format Painter, and just continue with the others, just so they're all the same format for those labels. And in fact, title needs to be the same bright color that I wanted there. Okay, you can also do things, control, such as, let's change the sizes of them, change the favorite font if you so wish. Right, while that's doing that, I'm just going to arrange, and I'm going to use the size space one here, and I'm just going to make these fit to a particular size so it fits the text that's in them. You can still move these around as pairs, so address moves around with the address label. So there's the text box, there's the label. A reminder, if I do go back to design here and go to form view, you can see that. And lower down here, I can move to the next record and start entering again. And let's go back to design view. So if I go to arrange, some of these have been nudged out. They're not quite in line. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight all of those. And I'm going to, yeah, I've got them all the same size. So now what I'm going to do is just highlight those on that side. Oh, there we are. I'll catch up with that now in a moment. What I was looking at is address. I'm going to move the address label on top of this area here. And I'm actually going to get rid of postcode because I think the postcode may not be needed. So I'm going to leave that like that and maybe leave the user to enter that separately, and the agreement I'll have down the bottom here. I'm now going to use some other tools. So if I click on here, I'm going to use a box tool here to just section off the address area. I'm quite happy with the white background, and then the agreement I'm going to move down, and above it I'm going to write in there a label. If you put a label here, and I'm going to just write a little bit of text in here of please agree to terms and conditions, and so on. All right, and that would be spelt right if I took my time doing it. So terms and conditions. All right, and maybe I just change the font for that, bold, maybe even underline it if need be, and of course resize it. So please agree to terms and conditions. I'm also going to go back to design to get that box that I want to section off this area. So let's put agree to terms and conditions, and I'm also going to get a box to cover to go around the customer details. This customer number, because it's an auto number, I'm going to leave that out on its own. Let's go and have a look. So we're getting the form a little bit more form-like, we'll say, or a bit more, a bit easier to fill out. If there's anything in here that needs any comments or any support for people to fill out, then put a label in. The final thing I'm going to do is buttons. So down the bottom of here, I'm just going to add some buttons into an area which is going to be a menu. So let's put basically navigation buttons. Now they're on the design tab, and if I go to button, and I'm going to put one button here which is going to move to the next record. So record navigation, go to next record and next customer. I don't like it saying next record because it doesn't give the context of the table. So make sure next customer or next piece of kit or next sale. Click next, finish. And I don't mind the buttons being the same color as had been generated by the system. Go to previous, so previous customer, so same thing, and finish, and then two further ones. We're going to have one that is just going to be a save button. Don't worry about the size of it because we're going to resize them in a moment. One's going to say save. Now, you can have save as the text on there, but I think a check mark, which is a tick, is more than sufficient, and most people will understand that that would mean save. I'm just going to move that into position. That may not resize because it's an image, but and then the final one, I'm going to add a new. So there we are. That's a poorly sized button by me, so I'm just going to add new record, click new, and add new customer. Let's click next. So it's a lot of text in there, so it's not going to fit properly. So I might have to just resize a few of the things. Previous customer, add new, tick, and next customer. Oh, they're all way out of line. So if I highlight it, let's go to arrange and align, and I'm going to align them to the top so they all line up to the top. Then I can move them down. I'm just using the keys on the keyboard to be a bit more accurate there. And then I'm going to size to the widest, to the tallest, so they're all the same height, to the widest. Oh, so they're all very wide. Well, in fact, I don't think that's needed. So I'm going to say to fit. And I'm also going to say to the tallest, because I did like it, them all the same size. You can also space them, equal horizontal spacing as well, which just tidies it up. So let's go and have a look at my form to finish, or to sort of finish here. And so next customer will go to the next, previous, and it tells me you can't go. So that's not a bad start. First of all, the final bit I should have said was right at the very top. I want a title, so I'm going to use a label again. If you use a text box tool, text box waits for data to be entered. So even if you type something in here, heading, it thinks it should be a field. So it's going to go to it. It says hash name. It doesn't know the heading field. Well, if that happens to you, it's because you've used a text box and not a label. So I'm now going to put a label in. And I'm going to call it customer form, customer details form. And we'll just highlight that. Make sure that we get the fonts right before we finish off. Bold, size 16, bold, underline, and we got that in position. And there's our nice form right at the very end.